Hola, hola mi gente. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Vanity V. If you're new here, welcome. If you're back again, welcome back. So today I wanted to talk about nervous system regulation. So I noticed a lot more content being created about nervous system regulation, which is amazing because I think a lot more people need to understand what the nervous system is and how we can control it and regulate it. Now, I see it going mainstream, but I want people to understand how important it is to understand how to get your nervous system and your emotional state under control so that you're able to tap into the state of being that you want to be. Your nervous system is literally the program within our body that already has its way of communicating with you in certain situations. Now, for somebody who's trying to create a new life, create a new circumstance, and it being a positive one, that comes with also understanding how to control one, your emotions, two, transmute those negative emotions and those triggers into something beneficial. Now, I know it can be really hard for somebody understanding and learning about nervous system regulation to be able to, flip like that and completely calm themselves down. But there's three main ways I personally regulate my nervous system, and that I feel like if people just implemented those three ways in the moment that you're feeling those negative emotions creep up and start being intentional with reprogramming the nervous system, then you will have a better chance of fully changing those triggers into something that benefits you. So I'm just going to name the three, but then I'm going to go down, which is going to be EFT tapping, breathing, and being still. So EFT tapping is something that I learned from actually a lady that I used to follow on Instagram. She talks a lot about money and creating wealth for women and being comfortable in understanding how to create money, understanding how to grow your money and become wealthy by one, being intentional, regulating those nervous systems, and being in the state of mind and in the emotional state that allows a person who has wealth to gain that wealth. So a lot of people don't realize, like, when you're dealing with poverty and when you're dealing with a lot of financial negativity in your life, it has a lot to do with what's already stored in your being, in your emotional state, in that nervous system that makes you up. So if you're always used to seeing negative balances or not being able to have enough money to pay bills, it creates an emotion. If you pay attention to when a bill is due and you don't have the funds for it, being very aware of the emotions and the fear and the scarcity that comes up within your being, and make mental note of that. Now, EFT tapping is a form of tapping certain nerve points in your body, which would be, let me see if I can, because I still watch the videos. His name is Brad Tates. So you tap these certain points in the body to help release negative emotions. In the moment of you feeling those negative emotions, you're gonna want to identify what the emotion is. If you're feeling like I always work but I don't have enough money, just call it out. Acknowledge it and call it out. There's these points underneath the nose, underneath the chin, the temples, these two, and I believe right like 4 inches from the pit. I think I'm getting them all. However, it more in-depth video of this would be Brad Tate's. He shows you how to do it. But I started doing this, and what's kind of interesting is I watch Yaki Awakening as well for health conscious content and learning about eating and learning about my body. And he talks a lot about opening up those lymphatic nodes in your body. And I feel like these are certain points in our body that also has lymph nodes that is a form of like releasing. So I've never looked it up. I'm going to actually look that up to see if that has anything to do with it, because it actually it kind of would make a lot more sense to me. But these points in your body, they help release those negative emotions when you're being intentional of, one, identifying that negative emotion, then two, when you're, identifying it and calling it out, replace it with the thought and the emotion that you want to feel. I always have more than enough money. All my bills are paid on time. Whatever you need to tell yourself in that moment so that that emotion is replaced and that belief is replaced. It's not a one-time thing. These are things that you're going to want to consistently do in the midst of you learning how to shift out of those emotions so that you can regulate your nervous system in those moments of distress. Another one I'm going to add on there, including those three, for me, it's not even including it because it's a part of breathing, but for me, whenever I would have a really, really bad trigger, and mind you, I didn't know what I was doing at the time that I was doing this, but I knew for some reason it actually just helped. It helped me move through that emotion, and I was able to regulate myself. And mind you, I knew nothing about like regulating my nervous system. I just knew I was tired of feeling these triggering emotions. I was tired of certain thoughts coming in my mind and it changing and shifting my emotional state. And that actually was the first point of me understanding manifestation years ago. I actually have one of my old videos talking about thoughts and emotions. I was driving one day and I was in a good emotional state, and I thought about something that I was dealing with at that time that triggered the hell out of me. And I'm like, what the hell just happened? Like, as I'm driving, I knew my attitude, my mood just changed. And I'm like, what the hell just happened? And I'm like, V, your thoughts. I'm like, you literally were thinking about it, and it created an emotion, and now you're reacting to that emotion. But one thing I used to do was I would stick my hand inside my shirt. I didn't care where I was at. Even if I was in a public place, I'd go to the bathroom and do this. I would stick my hand down my shirt and I'd grab where my chest was, where my heart was at. And I'd breathe I would close my eyes and I would literally breathe into my heart. Wherever I was feeling that emotional pain, that emotional trigger, it was always in my chest. So I would just breathe and I would just envision it just dispelling. Like whatever energy was in my hand, I would just envision that going into my heart, and I would literally pray, or I would just say it's okay. I am okay. I am safe in my own body. I am safe in my own body. It is okay. And that was, if there was nothing else that I could do to stop me from being upset or being triggered, that was the only thing that kept me sane in those moments. And then I would come out and I'd be like, okay, let me just deal with the rest of the day. If it kept coming up and it was strong and it was too bad for me to even keep working, or I wanted to just lay down and just avoid it and go to sleep, I would put my hand inside my chest, hold it as long as I needed to, and I would close my eyes and I would breathe and just envision myself literally healing that emotion or that trigger. And again, at the time that I was doing that, I had no idea what I was doing. All I knew is it felt like it was me against me. It was like an emotion that I did not want to feel, but it was within me and I could not do anything about it because I'm stuck in this body. There's nothing I could do. I have to deal with it. And that's where you see a lot of people who deal with pain. They end up doing drugs, or they end up doing something that distracts them from those emotions. Let me just tell you this. If you don't learn how to regulate your own emotions, if you don't learn how to, one, allow those emotions to come to the surface, acknowledge them, face them head on, and learn how to release them, and you're medicating or you're drinking or you're doing anything that distracts you from it, you are not running away from the problem. You are prolonging the healing process, but one way or another, you're going to have to face those emotions. That's why a lot of people who get off of drugs, they get so emotional in the process of their healing journey, and they get so emotional where they're crying a lot, because years of doing drugs and years of medicating and suppressing those emotions do nothing but hold them down until a moment allows them to come up to the surface and be acknowledged. And you're finding yourself in this emotional state where you can't control your emotions because there's so much there to sort out and deal with at that moment. And if you are a person who's in that boat where it's too much and it's all coming to the surface, just know it doesn't last forever. Take each emotion, take each form of trauma, whatever you need to face, one by one, and work at it. Rewire those neural pathways and start making new habits, new thought processes, and letting it go. Thank that emotion for teaching you whatever it needed to teach you, and deal with it accordingly and move forward. It gets better. It gets better, I promise you. But regulating that nervous system is going to be the number one thing a person has to do so that they can start creating new habits, so that they can start creating those new loops in their lives and those repetitive behaviors that lead them to success. Because your nervous system affects your subconscious mind and that autopilot, whether we're aware of it or not. So if you've been programmed with an emotion over and over and over again, whether it be betrayal, whether it be poverty, whether it be some type of fear, you're programming it into that nervous system, and your body just automatically reacts to it and does whatever it's been programmed to do on autopilot. So our goal is to regulate it, see when those negative emotions come up, and deal with them accordingly so that we can move forward in the process and in this journey of creating a better life with better opportunities and just better day-to-day accumulation of creating a better life. The compound effect. You have to start somewhere. It's hard at first, but I promise you, the more that you keep doing it, the better you get at, one, identifying a trigger, identifying when it comes up, and then being able to transmute it. Second, breathing. There's so many videos out there on breathing exercises. So that's not my expertise because I don't even do breathing perfectly, but I do it. If there's nothing else that I can do at that moment, if I don't want to look funny doing EFT tapping, or if I'm not in a place where I could go down my shirt and grab my chest, those deep breaths will always save you. People got to understand, like, breathing is the most vital thing for a human being. When we first come out our mother's womb, we take our first breath. When we leave this earth, we take our last breath. They say that when we're breathing, we are literally saying the name of the Creator. Breathing is so vital. And if we understood that 99% of us do not even breathe the proper way, and if we just changed, if we're just intentional with taking more deep breaths just so that we're breathing correctly, you'll see a difference. You'll see a difference in how you're feeling on a day-to-day basis just from just changing your breathing. Taking a moment to just breathe in. Breathe all the way into your belly and then releasing it. In the morning, if you can take 20 deep breaths, just all the way into your belly, fill up your belly, and then slowly release, you will see a difference just from doing that. But when you're in an emotional trigger, when you're in an emotional state where it is triggering your nervous system and you don't have a way of regulating in no other way, because some people need a journal. There's other ways besides these three that I'm discussing that people can regulate their emotions. There's plenty of ways, but these are just ways where you don't need materials and you can do them in those very moments. Breathing. There's the dragon breath, those deep repetitive breaths until that emotion moves. Though it's called the breath of fire, I think. It's something like that. I know I've done that maybe a handful of times where the emotion, tears are coming down. I could not regulate. And all I could do was do those dramatic breathing exercises until it moved through and I was able to move forward with the day, because I wasn't even at home. Like that's when I really gets to breathing. When I'm not even home, I can't even lay down. There's nothing I could do. All I can do is breathe. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna get into those dramatic breaths. But breathing helps lower your heart rate, and it helps calm your body, your mind, and bring you into awareness. Bring your awareness into your breath, and being able to focus on that emotion and being like, I am releasing you. I am releasing this emotion. I'm feeling it. Thank you for showing me what I needed to learn in this moment. And now I'm releasing it. Being intentional, whatever you got to tell yourself in the moments of you breathing so that you can release that emotion. And you're probably going to have to do this over and 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 over again. It's not something that you do a few times and then, oh, I'm all better. My nervous system is regular. You're going to have to do this for the rest of your life. We're human. We're always going to have triggering moments. But the problem is a lot of humans will have those triggering emotions and allow it to completely derail the rest of their day, the rest of their week, the rest of their month, their year, their life. And then they realize, damn, I've never gotten over this one little thing that this person's done to me or said to me, because you never gave yourself an outlet to actually process it and let it go. And I think a lot of people are starting to realize how much of that they have built up in them, that it is showing in their everyday life, it's showing in their patterns, it's showing in their loops, that they have to move forward. Now, the third way is sitting still. If you don't do anything else, any tapping, any breathing, if you can just sit still for a moment and close your eyes and really try to clear your mind. In a moment of sitting still, this is when I like to tell myself I am not the thoughts that are entering my mind. And these thoughts that are entering my mind want to change my emotional state to put me in a certain frequency, in a certain mood. And I am in control of my body. I am in control of my emotions, and I am the awareness behind them all. If you can't do anything else, then you have a moment to sit still, close your eyes, and redirect your awareness. You are doing better than like 75, 80, 90% of people out there who cannot take a moment to identify and become aware of the emotion that is arising at that moment. If you can do those three things, one of those three things, but if you can do all three of those things for at least 21 days, do it for 7 days. Every time you find yourself in a pissed off emotion, in a pissed off mood, ask yourself what thought created it, and then bring your awareness to that thought. And if you have to reprogram it and tap and move it off your body, move it through your body and release it, do that. If you need to breathe through that emotion as you're being intentional and keeping your focus on it and telling that emotion it has served its purpose, do that. If you need to sit down and be still and actually take all of your awareness onto that thought or that emotion so that you can identify it, give it the attention it needs, think it and release it, then do it. Again, there's so many different ways that people can learn to regulate their emotions. Going outside, going barefoot, touching grass, being in nature, like literally just sitting down and absorbing the sun. I like to sit in the sun sometimes, not when it's blazing hot, but like when the sun first comes out, I like the sun touching me. That would do wonders for your nervous system. Just be intentional with understanding why you're doing it and what the benefits of you doing it is going to do for you. We have the power to completely reprogram the nervous system, reprogram our subconscious mind. But again, it comes down to understanding the power that we're giving outside sources, the power that we're giving these other entities, because thoughts are entities. All thoughts are not ours. That's why the Bible tells us, take every thought captive into the obedience of Christ. You have to be very aware of the thoughts that you entertain. I think being very aware of the thoughts that enter your mind is probably the number one protection that anybody can ever have over their mind. And that's another video for another day, because I know people talk about like protection, spiritual protection and praying and all that. I think the number one thing a person can possibly do to protect themselves is being very, very aware of each thought that comes into their mind and being very aware of the energy and the power that they give each thought. But I'm gonna let the video end here, and I'm going to make another video on the protection of understanding each thought, but that's another conversation for another day. But if you found this helpful, make sure that you like and you subscribe and you share it however you see fit, and I hope that you guys come back. But I'm out of here, so